Malice at the Palace incident is one of the darkest days in NBA history. We've all seen the footage. Players running into the stands, fans hurling objects at players, and just an all-out brawl occurring. We know this, we've seen this, but in today's video, we're going to talk about the things you probably don't know that happened on that fateful night and what followed. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. We are growing right now, and it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Each like pushes my content out more and helps me, which in return gets me to push out more content to you. So join the community. With that being said, let's get into the video. So let's start here. Someone throws a beer at Ron, who's lying down calmly on the scorer's table.
Why?
Well, turns out it was done because of a bet between two drunk buddies. One bet the other $50 he couldn't hit our test. The other took it, and we know what happens. Now back to this moment. Artest just got hit with the beer and is about to charge right into the crowd. He's filled with anger and adrenaline, and he bolts, running through everyone and anyone to get his hands on the beer thrower. In doing so, he trampled Pacers play-by-play announcer Mark Boyle, who ended up fracturing 5 vertebrae in his attempt to stop Ron. So now this moment. Ron gets into the stand, wrestles this dude to the floor, and is about to throw some haymakers at this poor individual. Most of us know this is the wrong dude. He wasn't the beer thrower. But who he was that drunk friend that bet his buddy he couldn't hit Ron. So in essence, he played a big role in kickstarting everything. Why Ron went after him? Because his arms was up in the air after he had lost the bet, telling his friend he owes him a 50. How Ron perceived it was him cheering that he was able to hit Ron with the cup. Now at this point, all hell breaks loose. A lot of the fans and players here get into a physical altercation. But did you know one of those fans was Ben Wallace's brother, David Wallace? He denied having any part of it for weeks, but when footage finally released, there was undeniable proof. David Wallace throwing numerous punches at Indiana Pacers guard Fred Jones. After the Pacers were escorted to the locker room, Ron, after basically starting a stadium clearing brawl, asked teammate Steven Jackson if he thinks they're going to get in trouble. Jackson replied, "We'd be lucky to have a job." The game actually never finished. There was 50 seconds still left in the fourth, but with so many safety concerns and the game score being quite lopsided, the Pacers were awarded the W. 9 players were suspended for their roles in the brawl, for a total of 146 games. Artest received the biggest chunk of this pie, receiving an 86-game suspension, which would become the longest suspension in NBA history. It would cover the regular season and the playoffs. What really rubs salt on the wound is the title contending Pacers would be bounced out of the playoffs by their arch rivals. Jermaine O'Neal's 25-game suspension was brought to court. He and his people took it up to the US District Court, saying Stern didn't have the authority to give out a suspension of this manner, as it was technically an off-court incident. The judge ruled in his favor and it was reduced to 15. Collectively, $11 million worth of salary was lost by the suspended players. Now everyone knows who Tim Donaghy is, disgraced NBA ref who bet on games he refed and would end up going to jail for it. If you didn't think his officiating track record was bad already, he was also one of the referees during this game. He attempted to keep Artest from going into the stands during the attack, but failed. This game doesn't really get brought up with Tim Donaghy, but it does add another black mark to his officiating career. In total, 10 individuals received a criminal conviction for their part in the brawl, 5 players and 5 civilians, including Ben Wallace's brother. After this incident, a rule was passed that the sale of alcohol would be cut late in game. Later that season, when the Pacers returned to Detroit, the game was delayed by 90 minutes due to a bomb threat in the visitors' locker room. Artest revealed later on the John Eisen show, he became friends with the individual who threw a beer at him and even went as far to apologize to him. Why? Because he wanted to let his grudges go. Lastly, the Malice at the Palace incident has been made into a documentary. So how many of these facts did you know? Comment below the ones you didn't know. This is Earn Your Ranks, where we only talk about ball. Signing off.